All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about measures of spread. We're still going to be using box plots, and we're going to talk about range. And range, remember, is the range shows how spread out the numbers and the data are. So basically what we do here is from the smallest number, which is the minimum, so smallest is the minimum, to the biggest number is the maximum. We're going to subtract them. So remember, when we find the minimum and maximum on a box plot, that's basically our two dots on the graph. So here, I'm going to look at my min and my max, and I'm going to subtract them. So I can clearly see here my maximum is 100 and my minimum is 60. So my biggest number is 100 and my smallest number is 60. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find the range of how spread out this data is. So I'm going to take my maximum number. My maximum number, remember, was 100. And I'm going to subtract my minimum number. My minimum number is 60. And 100 minus 60 is 40. And therefore, my range would just be 40. Okay? Now, we're also going to talk about interquartile range. And the interquartile range is range that shows how spread out the numbers in the middle of the data are, from the lower quartile to the upper quartile. Remember, we talked about that in the last set of notes. So I'm going to kind of zoom in here. And remember, this was quartile 1, and this is quartile 3. And now we're talking about how spread out the middle is. Only the middle of the box plot, not the entire box plot, not the entire set of data. So, to find interquartile range, we still have that word range in here, so we know that we're still going to subtract. But this time, we're going to subtract quartile 3. So we line it up, the end of the box. And I see quartile 3 is 90. And then we find our lower quartile. Our lower quartile is 75. So the way you remember it, your lower numbers are in quartile 1. That's how we know that this is your lower quartile. And then your higher numbers are going to be in the third quartile. So that's how we know that this is going to be our upper quartile. Okay? Just kind of an easy way for you to remember it. And I can see here that Q3 was 90, as I saw on the graph, and Q1 was 75. Now, interquartile range, we're still doing range, so we're going to subtract them, and 90 minus 75 is 15. And that's how you find your interquartile range. Pretty simple? Okay, let's practice. So it says Radon surveyed 50 students in the library. He asked how many books they had read in the past year. He displayed his data with box plots. So we need to find our minimum and our maximum and to find the range. So I'm going to label some parts again. And I can see here's my minimum. And my minimum number is 10. And I'm going to find my maximum, which is my biggest number. And my biggest number is 40. So now I'm going to find my range. I got to take my maximum, which is 40, subtract my minimum, which is 10, And 40 minus 10 gives me a range of 30. Okay, now the second question is asking me to find the interquartile range of the data. So remember, that's the edges of the box. So I'm going to label and find quartile 1 is 14, and quartile 3 is the other end of the box, and quartile 3 I can see is 33. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put 33 into quartile 3, and quartile 1 was 14. Sorry, I had to double check. And 33 minus 14 is 19. So that would make my interquartile range 19. Hope that's easy for you. Hope you do well on your quiz.